No, I never had any doubt that Matt Damon was a true American. Hey everybody, what's going on? Today we are going to be talking about a movie that is ever so loosely inspired by the case of Amanda Knox being falsely accused of murder overseas and held in prison. She was acquitted of that. She had nothing to do with it. I'm not going to really get into all of why she's upset about this movie. I will say, though, it's because she could say it better than me. So if you want to hear why Amanda Knox is not happy about this movie, I put a link in the description below to a Twitter thread she put out. It's kind of long, but if you really want to understand why she's not happy about this, definitely give it a read. I can really see her point, why she's not real thrilled about this movie. And near the end of the review, I'll bring up one of the big reasons why, because I will be talking spoilers at the end of this review. But today, not talking about that part of it, but today we are going to be talking about Stillwater, starring Matt Damon and Abigail Breslin. Again, near the end of this review, there's going to be some spoilers. If you don't want anything spoiled, I will say this. This movie, despite the controversy, it would have been good had it not been obvious where it was going. It had a lot of good points to it. Matt Damon is really good in it. Abigail Breslin is pretty good in it. Camille Cotton, who plays the neighbor to Matt Damon at the hotel he is staying at when he's coming overseas to visit his daughter who's in prison, she's really good. So there was some decent stuff in this, but in the end, the very obviously here's what's coming last act, just you see it coming a mile away, and it really hurt this one for me. Again, there's really good performances. I was compelled by the story, not because of its connection to the false imprisonment of Amanda Knox, but because they were telling it was telling the stories around that, because really, while the daughter being in prison is a focal point of why Matt Damon's character is there, the more of the story is about who he is as a person and what his past is and all of that. So it's more about him and his character more than it is about the daughter in jail. So, do I recommend it? It's still not a bad movie. I just thought, and really how it ended up was fine, but I saw it coming. The third act got there, I was picking it apart beat by beat, where it's like, gee, I wonder what's gonna happen here. Yep, that's what I thought. Wonder what's gonna happen here. Yep, got that one too. So I took issues with its predictability. I think more than anything, but really it does have a compelling story, and the acting is really good. So despite the criticism, I don't know if I would like fully recommend it. Maybe a matinee price, or if you have A-list or something like that will get you in there for nothing. It's worth checking out. And again, the acting's really good. So you have some good chemistry between some of the characters. So I thought it was all right. I probably would never watch it again though. Okay, so the basic setup for this story is Matt Damon plays the father of Abigail Breslin's character, and she has been convicted she has been convicted of murder of her roommate slash lover while she was going to school in France. So this has already been going on in the movie because we see Matt Damon's working an odd job. All of a sudden, he's traveling overseas, and it's not like this, this murder just happened. It's uh, it's that she's been in prison a while, right? I think it's like 4 or 5 years already. So, and I can't remember how many years they said she was going to be in there, but she's served like 4 or 5 years of the sentence. And so he's going to visit, take her clothes and whatever, and he goes and stays for a couple weeks. But she gives him a letter, and it's written in French, so he can't read it, and he's supposed to take it to her lawyer. And so the lawyer, she reads it, and what the letter basically says is it had come out that somebody was bragging about getting away with a murder, and this ended up being this person they think that was bragging was the same guy that the daughter had contact with, a guy named Akeem. And so she's like, well, if this guy's out there, if we can find him, maybe we can get him to confess or whatever. They can investigate him. Or also there was an unknown DNA sample at the crime scene, and maybe it matches with this guy, and it'll get me out of here. So, but of course, she doesn't want to trust Matt Damon, her father, his character. She doesn't want to trust him with this information because she just doesn't trust him. They have had a very difficult past, we'll just say. So that's how this whole thing starts, where he has this letter, but she doesn't trust him with it. But because of this apartment he lives in, he helped the daughter of his neighbor get back into her room, and the mother thanks him. And then he's like, well, can you help me with this? Can you read this letter for me? And so he actually knows what's going on after that. And that leads him on his crusade to find this guy, especially since the lawyers won't reopen the case because of hearsay or a rumor. So Matt Damon, American Matt Damon, goes on his quest to try to find this guy. That being said, he's lying to his daughter the whole time, saying, yeah, they took up the case, but he's investigating it himself. So Matt Damon turns into American detective Matt Damon. Okay. Again, I thought this was a compelling story. I thought the acting was really good. Speaking of the acting, the chemistry between Matt Damon and Camille Cotton, who is the neighbor, the mother, their chemistry is really good, and it has to be because of what happens later in the movie. It actually works for me because Matt Damon's character Bill, his life begins to change the longer he is in France. So things start to change for the better for him. He's a lot happier. It talks about how he is, while he hasn't drank in a while, he's an alcoholic, and they even allude to him possibly using drugs as well. They don't really talk about what kind, but they ask him like once, "Are you on something?" So his life is changing while he's over there, and there is a lot of good character development and chemistry that has to take place between him and Camille Cotton's character, and it's really good. So that really works. Also, Matt Damon has good chemistry. I'm not going to try to pronounce the little girl's name that plays Maya, the daughter. They have really good chemistry, and it's fun because he's talking English to her. She don't understand him. She's talking French to him. He doesn't understand her. But here and there, they're teaching each other their language. So that's kind of fun. Matt Damon and Abigail Breslin have good chemistry as a father and daughter. So Matt Damon and anyone he interacts with, and again, all the performances are really good, but anyone Matt Damon interacts with, he does a good job, and it works, and it needs to work. So that worked for me. When it comes to the overall story, while again it's compelling, you have Matt Damon with his very American. I mean, he's from Oklahoma, and he's just I can't say anything about wearing the same hat all the time, but but I think there's only like one or two times he changes hats. He has this hat of this company he used to work for. He's laid off from, that he wears through the majority of the movie. There's even a scene, and this might be minor spoilery here, but let's just say he gets out of a car, and the people that were giving him a ride and not so gently helped him out of the car, made sure he got his hat back. It was just kind of funny. He gets out of the car, and the hat comes flying out after, and it was kind of funny because, like, well, he can't be without that hat. So this guy, he's just playing very American, right? He even has a character ask him, did he vote for Trump? He's like, I don't vote for Trump. And they're like, oh, good. And it's like these two people had a bet. He's like, nah, I had a conviction. I can't vote, right? And it's like, oh, so he would have voted for Trump. And so he plays this very, I guess you could, his character does have layers, and the layers work, but the very top layer does seem to be the, stereotypical American, right? And I don't know, the way his character changes, he's still that guy, but the way his character changes actually really works, because where he has who he is over the movie, even though he's the same person, he is changing the more he is over in France, and the way his life is changing. And of course, when they finally do get back home, he makes a comment. It's like, they're like, nothing's changed. He's like, everything's changed, and it's like, oh, he's been enlightened, right? And that actually was, I did like that, where it's just like, I don't see this place the same way because I've experienced more than this place now. So yeah, here's where we get into the problem with this movie, and as I mentioned earlier, and we are going to talk some spoilers here probably, how predictable this movie gets. First of all, this movie, it's a little over 2 hours, closer to 2.5, and there's parts of this movie that, I mean, I dug it, but it does kind of drag a little bit because, again, you've got the story of him investigating this, the murder, trying to prove his daughter's innocence, and you also have his life that he's starting to get over in France, because they do end up having a romance between Matt Damon and Camille Cotton's character, and you can see it coming, even though you're not sure. It might not happen, but when it does, it actually works because they build it right. But we get to the third act, and things just start to get predictable because, you see, Matt Damon's character does find this Hakeem. He finds him earlier in the movie, but he has to kind of forget about it for a while, and the movie actually does, it jumps like, I think it's like, I can't remember, it's a good amount of time. I think it was 4 months or something like that, and he is still over in France, and he's working there now, and of course, again, you got the budding relationship and with him and Camille Cotton's character, and but see, this is at a point where Abigail Breslin's character realized that he's lied about all this stuff, and she's like not happy with him, doesn't want him to visit, all that. But it starts to get predictable because they really telegraph that there's something being hidden from you. There's always doubt. And you think, you really think a movie like this, a lot of people are going to think that, oh, they're just trying to sow some seeds of doubt in here, but everything's the way it's supposed to. It's the way you think it's supposed to go, right? Here's where we're getting spoilery. Is she innocent? Is she really innocent? Or did she do it? Or was she involved somehow? And honestly, you can see the answer coming a mile away. I was, again, when the third act hit, I was picking it apart. Matt Damon's character does some things, which here's where the movie, this is the dumbest thing the movie did. They never went to the police with this new information. They kept going to the lawyers, but he didn't go to the police. When they had a name, when they had a picture, when they had a possible location of this guy, never went to the police. Oh no, because American and I'm going to take care of it myself, right? Matt Damon's character does some stupid things. But that being said, through those stupid things, he learns the truth. And this is one thing, and I got to bring up the Amanda Knox stuff. This is one reason why she was not happy about it. Because a lot of people, a lot of people are going to read the headlines, Amanda Knox is not happy about this movie. And after you see the movie, your first thought's going to be like, oh, without reading her thread, by the way, your first thought's going to be like, oh, she thinks it's about her. Is she admitting to some kind of guilt? No, if you read the thread, you'll find out that she's seen the movie and she talks about the involvement of the daughter in the murder in this movie. So she's not admitting to some kind of guilt. She's like saying that they are insinuating that, well, if this girl had something to do with it, then maybe Amanda Knox did. That's why she's upset. Not the only reason, but one of the reasons she's upset about this. But anyway, yeah, a lot of people are going to think that, oh, is she admitting some kind of guilt? No, she's not. She talks about it. Again, the link to the Twitter thread is in the description below. So yeah, the daughter does, I'll just say she has something to do with it. And the way, and I saw it coming. It's just like, gee, they were making it, they were trying to force the idea too hard that she had nothing to do with this. And it's like, I got this feeling this isn't the Shyamalan film, but I think there's going to be a twist. And sure enough, there is. And the way the movie ends fine. I thought the ending was fine, but when it came to, again, with especially the Matt Damon, I nothing looks the same to me anymore speech that he gives. I like that, but everything in the third act, I was just picking it apart, and it drove me nuts. And while it did work story-wise, it was just, I saw it coming. That's what bothered me about it. Other than I thought it was, it was interesting, it was creative and everything, but it just bothered me. I saw it coming a mile away. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Stillwater. Again, if you want to hear about the why Amanda Knox is not happy about this movie being quote unquote based on her life, even though trust me, it's extremely loosely based, just a few premises here and there, and again, she was acquitted. She did nothing wrong, so I can see her being upset, why she's upset. But yeah, it's a fine movie. Again, the third act is really predictable. I would say if you're gonna see it, catch it for a rental or cheap. That would be my suggestion for it. But again, I do suggest you before you think, oh, this is quote unquote based on Amanda Knox's life. Read her Twitter thread. It's kind of long, but read it anyway. It's a good read. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Stillwater. See you later.